Tears, Tributes, and Truth. The world's fight for justice after YUMENGLONG's death. The world froze in disbelief when news broke that YUMENGLONG, one of China's brightest stars, beloved by millions for his gentle smile and heart-stirring performances, was gone. In a single heartbreaking moment, the entertainment world lost not just an actor, but a symbol of hope, humility, and pure artistry. Streets dimmed, screens flickered with his face, and fans from across the globe were left asking one haunting question. How could such light fade so suddenly, and why? From Beijing to Seoul, from Los Angeles to Lagos, hearts united in mourning. People who had never met YUMENGLONG felt the same hollow ache as those who had shared laughter, projects, or precious moments with him. Social media exploded in a wave of tributes, videos, fan art, candles lit in front of TV screens, and hashtags like #RememberYumenglong and #JusticeForYumenglong dominated every platform. Fans poured out messages filled with sorrow and confusion, demanding answers, justice, and above all, truth. As news continued to unravel, the details surrounding YUMENGLONG's death became shrouded in mystery. Conflicting reports surfaced. Some called it an accident, others whispered of foul play, while a few hinted at pressures behind the scenes that might have pushed him too far. What remained undeniable was that something didn't add up. The world could not and would not stay silent. People remembered you not only as an actor, but as a human being who lived with quiet dignity. His rise to fame wasn't built on scandal or controversy. It was the story of a humble young man whose passion for his craft shone through every role. His portrayal of tenderness and strength in dramas had moved millions. His music echoed the struggles of youth, and his interviews revealed a man far deeper than his fame suggested. "I want to bring warmth to the world," he once said. And he did, until the world grew cold without him. In the days following his death, candlelight vigils bloomed like stars across cities. Fans gathered at film sets, entertainment agencies, and his last known filming location, laying flowers and handwritten notes that read, "You deserved better. We'll fight for you," and "Your story isn't over." The atmosphere was heavy yet charged. Every tear carried purpose, every silence a promise. Celebrities who had worked closely with YUMENGLONG broke their silence, one by one. Fellow actor Wang Yibo was seen in tears during a private tribute, unable to complete his speech before breaking down. Xiao Zhan posted a black and white photo of them together with a caption that read, "You were more than a co-star. You were family. Rest, my brother. We'll make sure they tell the truth." The comments section flooded instantly. Over 10 million reactions in less than an hour. Across media outlets, fans began to connect dots that painted a picture far darker than anyone expected. Reports hinted that YUMENGLONG had faced extreme pressure behind the scenes, from demanding schedules, invasive paparazzi, and possibly manipulative management. Some alleged that his final days were filled with exhaustion, frustration, and fear. Yet despite his pain, he continued showing up for fans, smiling on stage and delivering performances that seemed to hide a silent battle within. Online communities formed a united movement demanding transparency. Hashtags like #TruthForYumenglong and #WeNeedAnswers began trending globally. Thousands signed petitions for investigations into his passing, while journalists and human rights advocates started probing deeper into the structures that often consume artists behind the camera's glow. It became more than a celebrity story. It became a human story, one that spoke of exploitation, neglect, and the desperate cry for reform in the entertainment industry. The tragedy also exposed the darker side of fame, the suffocating expectations, endless scrutiny, and lack of genuine care behind the spotlight. YUMENGLONG had always been open about his introverted nature and his struggle to balance fame with peace of mind. "Sometimes I just want to disappear for a while," he said in a 2023 interview. Few knew how prophetic those words would become. His death became a mirror reflecting society's obsession with perfection, and how that very obsession can destroy the souls of those we idolize. Yet, even in grief, the world found unity. People from different countries, languages, and walks of life stood together, proving that love for a pure soul could transcend borders. Artists drew portraits of him with angel wings. Musicians composed songs in his honor. Entire fan bases collaborated to create charity projects in his name. One movement, called the Light Lives On, pledged to support young, struggling artists with mental health resources, something Yumenglong himself had quietly funded for others during his life. As investigations deepened, new revelations shocked the public. Whispers of mistreatment, ignored warning signs, and power struggles within the industry stirred outrage. Fans demanded accountability from agencies and production houses, urging them to prioritize humanity over profit. For many, justice wasn't just about finding who was responsible. It was about ensuring that no other artist would suffer the same silent torment. International media picked up the story, turning Yumenglong's name into a global symbol of resilience and remembrance. He was no longer just an actor from China. He was a reminder of every artist who had been lost too soon, every dream crushed under pressure, every voice silenced by fame's heavy hand. Weeks later, his funeral was held, a quiet yet monumental moment that froze time. White flowers lined the streets as thousands stood in respectful silence. Some wept openly, others held candles high as his photo, radiant and serene, was carried through a sea of sorrow. His parents, holding hands, thanked fans for their love and begged for privacy, their trembling voices breaking millions of hearts around the world. In that silence, something shifted. The fight for justice was no longer just about Yumenglong. It was about every life touched by his light. His story became a movement for transparency, compassion, and reform. People began speaking out about the unseen mental and emotional struggles of those in entertainment, forcing agencies to re-examine how they treat their stars. Fans formed foundations to protect young performers from burnout and exploitation, carrying forward Yu's dream of a kinder world. Months after his passing, the fight continued. Investigations still searched for truth. Fans still held vigils, and the world still remembered his smile as both a blessing and a wound. Though justice remained slow, the unity his death inspired became unstoppable. His legacy grew stronger, not because of his fame, but because of his humanity. Yumenglong's story became one of courage beyond life itself. It taught millions that silence is never safety, that love can outlive tragedy, and that truth, though delayed, cannot be buried. His death ignited a global awakening, a collective realization that behind every perfect performance stands a person fighting unseen battles. The days following Yumenglong's passing unfolded like scenes from a heartbreak no one wanted to believe. Streets that once echoed with laughter now felt drenched in silence. Billboards still bore his radiant smile, but to those who looked up, it felt like the world had lost its color. His name trended endlessly, not as a new release or performance, but as a cry for justice. The global storm of grief turned into something powerful, something unshakable. The world was no longer mourning in silence, it was demanding truth. Outside the entertainment agency where Yumenglong had spent much of his career, thousands of fans gathered, holding white chrysanthemums and handwritten signs that read, "We want answers and justice for Menglong." The atmosphere was thick with tears and defiance. Cameras flashed, candles flickered, and every face in the crowd reflected both pain and determination. Fans sang his songs softly, their voices trembling but united. "We won't let them forget you," one young woman whispered, clutching a photo of him against her chest as though holding on to a heartbeat. As night fell, the city's skyline glowed not with lights, but with love. Buildings across Beijing lit up with his initials, YM, while drones formed his image in the sky, accompanied by the words, "Forever in our hearts." Videos of this moment went viral, viewed by millions within hours. The scene became a symbol of hope amidst despair, a reminder that even in death, Yumenglong's presence continued to bring people together. Inside the quiet walls of his family home, his parents wept quietly over the mountain of letters and gifts sent from fans around the world. There were messages from South Korea, Japan, Nigeria, the US, and even small villages in Europe. Proof that Yu's kindness had crossed oceans. One letter read, "I learned to smile again because of you. You may be gone, but you taught us to keep the light alive." His mother pressed it against her heart, tears soaking the ink. Meanwhile, journalists began uncovering details that deepened public outrage. Records revealed that Yu had complained multiple times about exhaustion and anxiety, yet his cries for rest had been dismissed. Studio insiders spoke of grueling schedules, long hours, and emotional strain that no one should bear alone. Behind the glamour of stardom, he had been fighting unseen battles, and the system that should have protected him had failed. Rumors of manipulation and control within his management began circulating, and fans refused to let those whispers fade. They flooded official pages with demands for transparency, calling for a full investigation. Some even held peaceful marches, holding signs that read, "Talent deserves protection, not pressure." The call for justice became louder than any performance he had ever given. His close friends in the industry couldn't hold back their pain. Wang Yibo, still visibly shaken, shared an emotional live broadcast where he said, "I keep expecting to see him walk into rehearsal again, smiling like nothing was wrong. He was the kind of person who carried everyone else's pain but hid his own. We should have noticed sooner." His tears broke millions of hearts watching from their phones. Xiao Zhan, another dear friend, continued to honor him by visiting fan memorials in secret. One night, he was photographed kneeling in front of a wall covered with YUMENGLONG's pictures, placing a single white rose and whispering something no one could hear. That image, his bowed head under candlelight, became one of the most shared photos in the world. Fans captioned it, "Brotherhood doesn't end in death." As more truths began to surface, international media took hold of the story. Major outlets ran features titled "The Price of Stardom" and "When the Spotlight Becomes a Cage." Psychologists, actors, and advocates began discussing the dangers of overwork, image pressure, and emotional isolation in the entertainment industry. YUMENGLONG's tragedy had sparked a global reckoning. People started questioning how many more stars were silently suffering behind the masks of perfection. But amidst the anger and grief, there was also love, endless, unstoppable love. Fans organized charity projects in his honor. One group launched the YUMENGLONG Foundation for Creative Mental Health, aimed at supporting artists struggling with emotional burnout. Another group began a yearly event called the Day of Light, encouraging people worldwide to spend one day performing acts of kindness in his name. Even his old dramas saw renewed streams, not out of nostalgia, but as a collective tribute, a way of saying, "We remember every moment you gave us." On what would have been his next birthday, fans gathered outside the studio where he filmed his breakout role. They covered the walls in origami cranes, each carrying a message of love. Some sang his songs softly, others simply sat in silence. At exactly 8 p.m., the crowd released thousands of sky lanterns that rose into the night, carrying words written on their sides. "Fly high, Menglong." The sky glowed in gold and white, and for a brief moment it felt as if the heavens themselves paused to watch. Meanwhile, the investigation began yielding results. Authorities confirmed that several individuals were being questioned regarding negligence, overworking conditions, and possible suppression of his mental health reports. While no verdict had been reached, the revelation reignited the fire in his global supporters. Justice wasn't a distant dream anymore, it was in motion. As time passed, his absence became a presence of its own. His voice still played in cars, his smile still graced screens, and his words, "Be kind even when the world isn't," became a mantra for millions. People who had never met him began to live by his values. Artists dedicated awards to him. Fans wrote poems, and strangers connected through their shared grief. His legacy grew beyond fame. it became a movement of empathy. Everywhere you looked, Yumenglong's memory was alive. In classrooms, students quoted his interviews for inspiration. In cities, murals of his face appeared, painted with golden wings behind him. In hearts, he remained untouchable, a symbol of pure talent, humanity, and hope. Even years from now, when time has dulled most headlines, his name will still carry weight. The world has lost many stars, but few like Yumenglong. He was the kind of light that didn't just shine, it healed. And though he was taken far too soon, the tears he left behind watered the seeds of change. Because of him, people learned to look deeper, to care louder, and to demand truth, not just for him, but for everyone who suffers in silence. As fans still gather at his resting place, whispering prayers and promises, one truth remains. Justice is not only about courts or verdicts. It's about remembering. It's about fighting for what's right so that no one else fades the way he did. The world will continue that fight for Yumenglong, for the truth, for the light, and for the love he gave so freely. Because even though the man is gone, his spirit lives on in every heart that still beats his name, YUMENGLONG. Forever the light that refused to die,